before we talk too much more on that, we're gonna get into our last review here. Tasha, what do we have?
So we've got another TV show for you guys. It's Jaanbaaz Hindustan Ke, and it's on Z5. It's a short web series, 8 episodes. The first and the last one are kind of 45 minutes, but everything else is 25 to 30. So it's actually a pretty easy watch. And you know what? I really enjoyed this, I have to say. For me, I thought it was something pretty unique. I think maybe viewers out there, you guys have seen something like this before, but the show, the premise is you have this very decorated IPS officer. Her name is Kavya Iyer, and which I also thought was very cool. It's a very strong female-led series, and it's kind of like how she gets tangled up in this like web of like terrorism and religious extremism and all of these things while trying to balance her like family life. She has a young son. She's constantly getting interrupted in her time with him because work, has to kind of come first sometimes. Thought this was a super unique way of kind of doing these kinds of shows, right? It's really like action, it's really a thriller, but it's female led, and it was normalized. National Film Award winner Srijit Mukherji is the one who created this web series. So
Before you go on with the rest of it, let me just ask you this, because this is something Mira and I have explored before here in the past, on the show. Did the inclusiveness feel forced, or did it feel very natural? Because to me, from the way you're describing it, it felt like a very natural narrative to be able to tell, to be able to show, and it just felt very normal. But what were your thoughts on that particular aspect?
yeah, that's something that really stood out to me was how normalized all of these things were on the show. Sometimes when people make kind of shows or movies that deal with sensitive topics, or even view the story through a woman's lens, not through the men's lens, right?
Sure.
It can feel kind of forced, but this was just totally, it wasn't called attention to in that way that makes you feel like, okay, they're really trying to push it. It was super,
Sure.
super normal. Yeah, which was great, you know. Um, yeah, so that was a really, I think that was a really standout thing for me, which is why I'm talking about it so much. But Kavya Iyer,
Of
she's
course.
played by Tamil actress Regina Cassandra, who I've actually seen in a couple other things. And she carries a show, man, she can do it. So I'm looking forward to seeing what else she does too. But yeah, it's a really, really interesting show. Some standout moments like from the first kind of episode paints her picture, like who is she as a person, who is she as a very complicated character, which she is. And it like goes into like her relationship with her husband. It's super rocky. There's a point where they're like screaming at each other that they need to go to therapy, which was not supposed to be funny, but I thought it was very funny. It's also very modern,
Yeah.
it's like, go fix your issues. Like we have problems, let's fix them. It was all of these kinds of things were treated like with a very human kind of tone. And then of course you've got the action stuff, you've got the thriller stuff. So the premise is they accidentally find out that this terrorist group, which this is not a spoiler, you later find out it's ISIS, but they're trying to figure it out. They're smuggling this chemical explosive called RDX into the country, and they keep targeting like political kind of big events in several different states around the country to kind of like, insert their kind of message into there. So it's like this group, they're always one step ahead of the officers, and it's frustrating, and you get caught up in like wanting her to succeed and wanting the team to stop all these senseless killings. It's an interesting premise. It keeps you on your toes, and it keeps you clicking that watch button one after the other after the other.
How was the action in this? Because I assume that she's just girl bossing some of these opponents.
Yeah, I would say she's a total girl boss. I think the action was really great, actually.
Yeah.
It wasn't overly done. It was exactly what it needed to be to further the story. I really like that they paint Kavya as this kind of like she can be a gentle mom, and then the next scene she's kind of like beating the living shit out of a suspect in a jail
Yeah.
cell. It's like, she's really got that down. And she gets absorbed into this team by the National Investigation Agency, it's also led by another woman. And it's just like very interesting for me to see. I don't find that a lot. Like, but the action's great, the story's great, keeps you always wanting to keep pressing the button, and you'll probably end up binge watching. You guys, it's a great story for sure.
Well, and hopefully too, as family media continues to highlight and continues to paint narratives of female leading characters, female leaders, out there. I really hope they do kind of start to cover some of those things, such as there's this mother life that happens, and then there's this leader life that happens, and this is how both are depicted. This is how both are humanized as well. I think this film does a very good job of making that progression, and it's just great to see. As you said, it's refreshing because I'm a big action movie fan. John Wick is my favorite series, but I really think especially in this specific genre, we need to keep seeing characters like this. We need to keep seeing stories like this, because not only are they just great to watch. I mean, like this, for example, just completely took Z5 by storm. Very good job on this series, but they're also just making great progress for things we continue to want to see in a better film and media space. But we're concluding this here. We had a very big list of TV shows and movies, some of which came out to the theaters. We saw some Hulu, Z5. Overall, Tasha, would you say we're satisfied with this list? I thought this was a very good week.
I think this was a pretty good week too. Totally agree with you. Most of it, I would recommend you guys go check it out. Have a good time at the movies.
Yeah, some of these series were a little short and sweet. Some of these were very, progressive and very, just binge-worthy series, as well as Shah Rukh Khan. I mean, it's a great week for film and media when Shah Rukh Khan is on the big screen. So before we hop off, I do want to make one quick announcement, and that is we are rolling out our collaborator program as we speak on Daces Out Live. So if you are a big fan of the show and if you want to be able to collaborate with us, make sure to head over to Daces Out Live and give us your thoughts and reviews. Like I said, you'll be able to post on there as a collaborator. Leave us your thoughts and comments on our Instagram. We have Daces Live on Instagram, Daces Live on Twitter. And without further ado, we're concluding the episode of this. Have a good one, guys.